The Lord be with you. Welcome to the ADHD Preacher's Workshop on this Tuesday in February. I wanted to say that it was bitter cold the other day, and then I was like, I lived in Vermont for a couple years. This is not bitter cold. It's cold. It's unpleasant, but it's not bitter cold. But it's cold enough that I don't get to take my baby outside, so not a fan. Interesting time today because we're going to do a two-parter. I'm going to do 1 hour of the traditional ADHD Preacher's Workshop, and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a second session. Specifically, I'm going to do a close reading of the executive order regarding the Make America Healthy Again commission. So it's going to be exactly the same as my normal thing, except instead of reading scripture and doing sermon prep, I'm just going to read this EO once straight and then once with a little bit of interpretation. So take from that what you will. But we're going to get started, and we're going to get started as we usually do with a word of prayer. Friends, let us pray. God of grace and glory, hope of nations, we ask your blessings on this time and this season in the world. We ask your blessings for peace and justice in equal measure. We ask that you empower us and embolden us to be the voices for that peace and that justice that our world so desperately needs. I ask that you illuminate this reading of your word. And as always, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to you. Amen. I think I need to change something here. Yeah, that's better. Okay. I thought I had fixed it one way and I didn't. That's all right. All right. February 23rd, the 7th Sunday following the Epiphany. What do we have, dear lectionary? Let's take a look. And then, of course, yeah, I've got all my stuff laid out now, so that I can just do it automatically. 7th Sunday after the Epiphany, February 23rd. Woof. Woof. All right. Genesis 45, Psalm 37, 1 Corinthians 15. We're continuing to work 1 Corinthians, although, hey, fun gap. And then Luke 6. Let's dive right in. Genesis 45, the 3rd through the 11th verse, and then the 15th. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer him, so dismayed were they at his presence. And then Joseph said to his brothers, Come closer to me. And they came closer, and he said, I am your brother, Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are 5 more years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and a lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father, and say to him, Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Do not delay. You shall settle in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, you and your children and your children's children, as well as your flocks, your herds, and all that you have. I will provide for you there, since there are 5 more years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have will not come to poverty. And he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. And after that, his brothers talked with him. Cool. Psalm 37, the 1st through the 11th verses, 39th through the 40th. The lowly shall possess the land. Do not fret because of the wicked. Do not be envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Live in the land and enjoy security. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act. He will make your vindication shine like the light, and your justice and the justice of your cause like the noonday. Be still before the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Do not fret over those who prosper in their way, over those who carry out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For the wicked shall be cut off, but those who wait for the Lord shall inherit the land. Yet a little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look diligently for their place, they will not be there. But the meek shall inherit the land, and delight themselves in abundant prosperity. The salvation of the righteous is from the Lord. He is their refuge in the time of trouble. The Lord helps them and rescues them. He rescues them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. Okay. Paul's been on about the resurrection for a bit, so let's see what he's up to right now. 1 Corinthians 15, 35 to 38, 42 to 50. But someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body do they come? Fool, what you sow does not come to life unless it dies. And as for what you sow, you do not sow the body that is to be but a bare seed, perhaps of wheat or of some other grain. But God gives it a body as he has chosen, and to each kind of seed its own body. So it is with the resurrection of the dead. What is sown is perishable. What is raised is imperishable. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a physical body, it is raised a spiritual body. If there is a physical body, there is also a spiritual body. Thus it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. But it is not the spiritual that is first, but the physical, and then the spiritual. The first man was made from the earth, made of dust. The second man is from heaven. As was one of dust, As was one of dust, so are those who are of the dust, and as is one of heaven, so are those who are of heaven. Just as we have borne the image of the one of dust, we will also bear the image of the one of heaven. What I'm saying, brothers and sisters, is this. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Nope, I ADHD'd out of that one. As was one of dust, so are those who are of the dust, and as is one of heaven, so are those who are of heaven. Just as we have borne the image of the one of dust, we will also bear the image of the one of heaven. What I'm saying, brothers and sisters, is this. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Okay. The word of the Lord. Okay. I'm adjusting myself and I'm leaning so I can lean forward. So I can really give this some juice. Luke 6, 27 through 38. Listen for God's word to you. But I say to you who are listening, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who asks of you, and if anyone takes away what is yours, do not ask for it back again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you expect to receive payment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. Instead, love your enemies, do good, and lend expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he himself is kind to the ungrateful and to the wicked. be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure that you get back. The word of the Lord. If you have been, for whatever strange reason, reading my Blue Sky, which, do that. It's fun. You will know that I went out this weekend. Hey, what's going on? You're supposed to be normal text. Oh, all right. You'll know that I went out this weekend to do a politicking. And I've been thinking about the fact that I am not a nonprofit. And so the Johnson Amendment doesn't apply to me, so I'm not in danger of losing my funding. There is no funding. So I can say that the lectionary has not been pulling its punches on the subject of enemies. And it keeps going. Like, the hits keep coming. So, just be ready, because I'm gonna have some things to say. All right, I want to read all of some of these passages. Last week, I've been trying to pull up the previous week's workshop just because it's helping me to keep track of what we did the week before. I thought that, hey, you, huh? Uh-huh. Oh, did I copy the wrong one? I'm having a time with this. Yeah, all right, fine. Okay, rename this. Where's my rename? Don't make me work this hard. All right, sorry. This is the one for February 16th. This is the one for the 23rd. Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. And the dates are going to be jacked up, and we're all just going to live with that. All right. So, back on the 16th, we read Luke 6:17 to 26, and today we are reading 27 to 38. So no break. So Jesus this is the Sermon on the Mount, the Lucan Beatitudes. So we did not miss anything in the transition. I want to know what's happening in the middle of the psalm, as I usually do. I want to know what 3 verses we skipped in Corinthians. I feel fine about the Genesis. I thought there was a break in the Genesis. Oh yeah, there was a break in the Genesis, and I fixed that too. So it's 3 to 11 and 15. Again, what did we skip? The Revised Common Lectionary fascinates me, because what did we skip is always a question relevant to my interests. Okay, so here we have all the bits, and we're going to put the semicolons on them, and we're going to semicolon, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. Hey, Bible Gateway, at me. We'll love to support you. All right. All right. For those of you who don't normally come, this is the way this works, is we do one round in the Revised Common Lectionary, which I believe is the NRSV, and if it's not, somebody will eventually tell me about that. And then we do one round in the Common English Bible, and then we do one round in the Greek, unless there's something in the Hebrew that bothers me so much that I overcome my natural weakness in the language and take a dive at it, which I might do today. But the second time with interpretation. Joseph said to his brothers, I'm Joseph. Is my father really still alive? And his brothers couldn't respond because they were terrified before him. Now, context. Joseph's going to talk about this extensively, but what's happening is there's a terrible famine in the ancient Near East and on the Mediterranean coast, and it has affected everybody, including sort of notoriously famine-proof Egypt. But specifically, it's affected Israel, and so this is Joseph's family, who previously his brothers trapped him in a pit and then sold him into slavery because they liked his coat. Let's talk about envy for a minute. Joseph sees his brothers and is like, oh, this is so cool. And for a while there's this like very soap opera, like they don't recognize him because it's been so many years and he's like grown a beard or whatever. So now his brothers couldn't respond, and Joseph said to his brothers, come closer to me. And they moved closer, and he said, I'm your brother Joseph, the one you sold to Egypt. Now, don't be upset and don't be angry with yourselves that you sold me here. Actually, God sent me before you to save lives. We've already had 2 years of famine in the land, and there are 5 years left without planting or harvesting. Side note, this is because Joseph previously had a dream that specified that there was going to be a 7-year famine. There were cows. It was awesome. There were 7 years of just fabulous harvests, and now there are going to be 7 years of famine, and they've like... Joseph, knowing this because of prophetic dream, has arranged to have enough food for Egypt to survive. Really interesting. Yeah, okay, we'll get to that in a minute. God sent me before you to make sure you'd survive. I noticed this word. Survive on earth. It feels like an unusual Old Testament word. It feels like an unusual New Testament word. And to rescue your lives in this amazing way. You didn't send me here. It was God who made me a father to Pharaoh, master of this entire household and ruler of the whole land of Egypt. Hurry. Go back to your father, also my father. Tell him this is what your son Joseph said. The construction there is just wild. Go back to your father. Tell him this is what your son Joseph says. Not your son, my brother's, but your father's son, my father's. God has made me master of all of Egypt. Come down to me, don't delay. You may live in the land of Goshen, so you will be near me, your children, your grandchildren, your flocks, your herds, and everyone with you. I will support you there, so you, your household, and everyone with you won't starve, since the famine will still last 5 years. You and my brother Benjamin have seen with your own eyes that I'm speaking to you. So this is the new stuff, 12 through 14. You and my brother Benjamin have seen with your own eyes that I'm speaking to you. Tell my father about my power in Egypt and about everything you've seen. Hurry and bring my father down here. He threw his arms around his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his shoulder. He kissed all of his brothers and wept, embracing them, and after that his brothers were finally able to talk to him. I like that rendering better than the lectionary. After that his brothers talked with him. Yeah, no, that's a much better reading. Okay. All right, stuff's happening, right? Not bad. All right. Psalm 37 of David. Okay, and remembering that it was 1 to 11 and then it jumped to 39 to 40. Don't get upset. I had, as I was reading this one, which was not even the good one from a political perspective, this was the first one. Don't get upset over evildoers. I have 2 things to say about this. One is there's an indictment here of like, what does it mean to get upset? And David is not writing in a democracy where getting upset at evildoers and like saying that you're upset at evildoers actually matters theoretically. But there's an indictment here of like, keep things in perspective, oh you Christians, oh you auditors, you listeners to David's Psalms. Keep things in perspective. Don't wig out over the evildoers. And on the other hand, I haven't really thought about, there's a consideration that it's very important to make, that when Jesus says love your enemies, you are someone's enemy. Somebody hates you. Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, somebody hates you. Somebody is your enemy. and wants bad for you. And for those who profess to be Christians, for whom the woke DEI libs are their enemy. Guys, don't get upset over the evildoers. There was a dude when I was downtown yesterday for the protest. There was a dude at the corner with a microphone, sort of haranguing people about Jesus, and I definitely had the whole round of like, I've gone to school. I know how to refute your arguments. I don't need to. It's not important. But this guy was like mad about all of these horrible things that are happening in our country and in our society. And like, don't get upset. Don't get upset over evildoers. They're going to do, like, evildoers going to evil, right? That's not, don't, and especially I think there's evildoers that are doing evil over there, and that are doing evil that doesn't land on you. Don't get it. And even the ones who are, just like, don't get upset. Don't get overwrought. And this is, I want to figure out exactly what because don't get upset. What is because this is midrash, right? This is Jewish interpretation. When the Bible uses the same phrase 3 times in a row, like 3 times in 8 verses, that repetition is important. It matters. So like, what's the phrase here that is showing up? So this is one of those few times where I am likely to dive into the Hebrew and try and figure out what's going on. Don't get upset. Don't get upset over evildoers. Don't be jealous of those who do wrong, because they will fade fast like grass. They will wither like green vegetables. Trust the Lord and do good. Live in the land and farm faithfulness. Ooh, I love that. What was the live in the land and farm faithfulness. I don't know what's going on there, but I like this better. Enjoy the Lord, and he will give what your heart asks. This is always a problem. Your heart's desires. He will give what your heart asks. I think the implication here being your heart knows better than your head what to ask for, which is well supported in other parts of Scripture. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust him. He will act and will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, your justice like high noon. Be still before the Lord and wait for him. Oh, it is an alphabetic acrostic. Ha ha ha, that's fun. Correction with Septuagint and Vulgate. Okay. Alright, I want to know what was in the Hebrew that they're correcting with the Septuagint and Vulgate. We're suspicious when people correct with the Septuagint and Vulgate. We should have a reason for that. Don't get upset when someone gets ahead, someone who invents evil schemes. Don't get upset when someone gets ahead, someone who invents evil schemes. Let go of anger and leave rage behind. Don't get upset. It will only lead to evil, because evildoers will be eliminated. But those who hope in the Lord, they will possess the land. So again, the this is a hard one for me if I'm the audience. If I'm the one who's supposed to, like, I'm righteously angry. I'm justly angry. But don't get upset. It will only lead to evil. Let go of anger and leave rage behind. Yeah, there's a certain more in sadness than in anger thing that is challenging. But like, I think that people shouldn't be doing what they're doing. I am mad about it, but I'm not that mad. I'm mostly just like disgusted and sad. And we'll talk more about that later. Don't get upset. It will only lead to evil, because evildoers will be eliminated. But those who hope in the Lord. And by the way, evildoers will be eliminated not by you, Vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. But those who hope in the Lord, they will possess the land. In just a little while, the wicked won't exist. If you go looking around their place, they won't be there. But the weak will inherit the land. They will enjoy a surplus of peace. All right. And then now we're into the quite long, like 20 verses stretch that isn't in the lectionary. So I'm gonna read this one quickly, unless there's something that jumps out dramatically. The wicked plot against the righteous, grinding their teeth at them, but my Lord just laughs at them, because he knows that their day is coming. The wicked draw their swords and bend their bows to bring down the weak and the needy, to slaughter those whose way is right. But the sword of the wicked will enter their own hearts, their bows will be broken. Better is the little that the righteous have than the overabundant wealth of the wicked. The arms of the wicked will be broken, but the Lord supports the righteous. The Lord is intimately acquainted with the lives of the blameless. Their heritage will last forever. They won't be ashamed in troubling times. And in a period of famine they will eat their fill, but the wicked will die. The Lord's enemies will disappear like the beauty of a meadow in smoke. The wicked borrow and don't pay it back, but the righteous are generous and giving. Those blessed by God will possess the land, but those cursed by God will be cut off. A person's steps are made secure by the Lord when they delight in his way. Though they trip up, they won't be thrown down, because the Lord holds their hand. I was young and now I'm old, but I have never seen the righteous left all alone, and have never seen their children begging for bread. They are always gracious and generous. Their children are a blessing. Turn away from evil. Do good. Then you will live in the land forever. The Lord loves justice. He will never leave his faithful all alone. They are guarded forever, but the children of the wicked are eliminated. The righteous will possess the land. They will live on it forever. The mouths of the righteous recite wisdom. Their tongues discuss justice. The instruction of their God is in their hearts. They don't miss a step. The wicked, on the other hand, target the righteous, seeking to kill them. But the Lord won't leave the righteous to the power of the wicked, and won't let the righteous be found guilty when they are judged. Hope in the Lord and keep his way. He will lift you up so you can possess the land. When the wicked are eliminated, you will see it for yourself. I myself have seen wicked, powerful people exalting themselves like a stately cedar. But when I came back, they were gone. I looked all over for them, but they couldn't be found. Observe those who have integrity and watch those whose heart is right, because the future belongs to persons of peace. But wrongdoers will be destroyed altogether. The future of the wicked will be cut short. Sorry, I'm going to jump back here. I got sidetracked because we're going to do a little side progression. Observe those who have integrity and watch those whose heart is right, because the future belongs to persons of peace. But wrongdoers will be destroyed altogether. The future of the wicked will be cut short. The salvation of the righteous comes from the Lord. He is their refuge in times of trouble. The Lord will help them and rescue them from the wicked, and he will save them because they have taken refuge in him. Okay. I have feels. I do want to know, by the way, if you are in North America and you're reading this thing that says about a cedar and you have a tree in your head, it's a lie. The tree that you know is the cedar, the red cedar from which cedar chests are made. It is not a cedar. It is a red cedar, a relative of cypress and juniper and sequoia and redwood. It is not a true cedar like they have in the Middle East. Possibly this is what I'm angry about. I'm sad and I'm disgusted and I'm a little angry about political stuff, but I'm furious about cedar trees. Just enraged elementally. Okay. Bring it back, Angie. All right. 1 Corinthians 15, 35 through 50. There's a whole sermon series here of Paul and the Corinthians, and Paul like refuting stupid things that obviously he heard that were happening in Corinth. That I like. It's a different show. But all right. But someone will say, how are the dead raised? What kind of body will they have when they come back? Look, idiot, fool, when you put a seed into the ground, it doesn't come back to life unless it dies. I read this, my mother actually read this to a farmer once, and he was like, that's wrong. There's dead seed, that's a thing. The seed doesn't die, it germinates, like it does a thing, but what you put in the ground doesn't have the shape that it will have, but it's a bare grain of wheat or some other seed. God gives it the sort of shape that he chooses, and he gives each of the seeds its own shape. All flesh isn't alike. Humans have one kind of flesh, animals have another kind of flesh, birds have another kind of flesh, and fish have another kind. That's it. That was... Huh? I'm reviewing here. 39. Okay, we're into it. All flesh isn't alike. There are heavenly bodies and earthly bodies. The heavenly bodies have one kind of glory, and the earthly bodies have another kind of glory. The sun has one kind of glory, the moon has another kind of glory, and the stars have another kind of glory, but one star is different from another star in its glory. It's the same with the resurrection of the dead. A rotting body is put into the ground, but what is raised won't ever decay. It's degraded when it's put into the ground, but it's raised in glory. It's weak when it's put into the ground, but it's raised in power. It's a physical body when it's put into the ground, but it's raised as a spiritual body. If there's a physical body, there's also a spiritual body. So it is written, the first human, Adam, became a living person. Yeah, we're quoting Genesis 2:7. And the last Adam became a spirit that gives life. But the physical body comes first, not the spiritual one. The spiritual body comes afterward. The first human was from the earth, made from dust. The Hebrew word, there's a very, very reasonable translation. Dirt, earth, is Adam, and Adam is I may have this backwards. Dirt is Adamah, and Adam is like from the Adamah. I'm going to check myself on this later, but from the way that Hebrew works, it is perfectly reasonable to say that sprung from the earth is a pretty good translation of Adam. In English and our Germanic ancestry languages, the way that you do this is with the suffix ling. Ling is a thing that sprung from the previous thing. So like a sapling or a seedling is a thing that sprang from the sap or the seed. So it is perfectly reasonable every time that you read Adam's name to translate it as earthling, the thing that sprang from the earth. Which, it is not good for the earthling to be alone. End sidebar. The nature of the person made of dust, we're at verse 48. The nature of the person made of dust is shared by people who are made of dust, and the nature of the heavenly person is shared by heavenly people. We will look like the heavenly person in the same way as we have looked like the person made from dust. We will bear the image of, This is what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. Flesh and blood can't inherit God's kingdom. Something that rots can't inherit something that doesn't decay. For Paul, pretty cogent. Pretty reasonable argument. I like this rendering better. The nature of the person made of dust is shared by people who are made of dust, and the nature of the heavenly. We will bear the image of the heavenly person in the same way as we have borne the image, like in the same way that we resemble Adam, we will resemble Christ in the resurrection. Okay. Except parallels. Earthly versus spiritual. All right. Jesus is about to lay down. I might go so far as to say that Jesus is about to throw down. It's going to be a whole thing. And I'm taking one brief look. All right. Okay, just checking. My Twitch stats on OBS say that I've been streaming for 6 minutes, which is a lie. So, just wanted to check. Luke 6, 27 to 38. But I say to you who are willing to hear, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone slaps you on the cheek, offer the other one as well. If someone takes your coat, don't withhold your shirt either. Give to everyone who asks, and don't demand your things back from those who take them. Treat people in the same way you want them to treat you. If you love those who love you, why should you be commended? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, why should you be commended? Even sinners do that. If you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, why should you be commended? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be paid back in full. Instead, love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. If you do, you will have a great reward. You'll be acting the way children of the Most High act, for he is kind to ungrateful and wicked people. Be compassionate, just as your Father is compassionate. Don't judge, and you will not be judged. Don't condemn, and you won't be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good portion, packed down, firmly shaken, and overflowing, will fall into your lap. The portion you give will determine the portion you receive in return. The word of the Lord. No notes. And again, the duality of this is what's kicking me today. It is in some ways easier for me to make this an indictment of my own behavior, right? But I actually really try to do this. I genuinely try to do good to those who hate me. I try to bless those who curse me. I try to pray for those who mistreat me. And I am really quite good about give to everyone who asks and don't demand your things back from those who take them. Like, I actually do fine. No, today I'm on the people for whom I am their enemy, who claim Christ, are not here. They're not doing good and lending, expecting nothing in return. They are, and I can't blanket say that everyone's doing this, but don't judge, and you won't be judged. Don't condemn, and you won't be condemned. There is judgment and condemnation coming from Christians for other Christians, for other people in their country, and they are refusing to judge. They're judging and they're condemning, and they are refusing to forgive, and they are locking themselves down. They're turtling, and if everybody who disagreed in this country and claimed Christianity, claimed Christ, everybody who claimed Christ in this country, all of us at once, did this, what a place this would be. What a nation. What a shining city on a hill. Our justice would shine like the sun, our righteousness like the noonday. I might have that backwards. But and last thing I want to say about this, because this is like Jesus preaches for himself. Only so much you have to do. Is this image? If you don't bake, and you should, it's fun. It's a nice, relaxing activity. If you don't bake, this is not like, this is visceral. This is not the way that you do like granulated sugar or flour, some depending on how you do your flour. This is like how you do brown sugar. Like you knock it around and then you pack it down into the cup. And if you're doing it right, depending on what you're making, like it should overfull. And I think flour is actually probably the better image here. That this is a jar or I think a jar is probably the best image here. A jar, just like somebody's like punched down the flour to get as much in there as you can. The portion you give will determine the portion you receive in return. I know what I'm going to preach. I keep saying that as if I'm going to preach it. I just haven't built it into the schedule, and it's hard. It's hard. All right. Blue Letter Bible at me. We're gonna do again. I don't do this every week because it's hard. But let's do Psalm 37, and I specifically am looking for this word upset. And fret is the word in the NRSV, which the King James is also rocking on. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious of the workers of iniquity. All right. So the word here is ladod, or sorry, ladod? Sorry, ladod, of David. Al Tatachar. Hithpile, jussive, second person, masculine, singular, fret thyself. Tach. Tithar, but it's okay. Yeah, don't work yourself up. And the al here is not l. All. I know how Hebrew vowels work. Fret not thyself. Fret thyself. 2734. Chara, a primitive root. Harar. So the hithpile is what's causing that first tet in there. All right. Kindled, wrath, hot, angry. Don't be hot. Don't be furious. Don't burn. Don't be angry. Don't be kindled. And then specifically in hithpile, to heat oneself in vexation. So for those of you who have not taken any number of Hebrew, Hebrew has these different verb forms, and it's a little bit like mood in Greek or English or Latin, but only a little bit. It's a little bit like person. Hithpile, I think specifically, is the one that like relates back to yourself. But chara, a primitive root, to glow or grow warm, figuratively, and like that word shows up as kindled and wroth and hot and angry and displeased and fret. And of the times that it shows up in Psalm 37:3, and then gets basically word for word quoted in Proverbs. Okay, so fret not thyself because of evildoers. Don't get hot under the collar because of evildoers. All right. That was all I really needed there, and the fact that it is indeed the same word. Don't get overheated. Which might actually, like, this is one of those moments where to fret in English has a very specific set of connotations. It might. No, what does it mean to fret, huh? I should start doing more dictionary contributions. Okay. Fret. To eat, corrode, destroy, annoy. Yeah, to eat, devour up. So this has a chafe, rub could also be due to sound association with Anglo-Norman frater. To chafe, rub. Ultimately from the PIE, to cut. Yeah. Chief difficulty is the lack of evidence of the old French word. So there's a yeah. Okay. All right. Fret not thyself. Good. That was all we needed of that. Let's see if Jesus is doing anything in the Greek that is unusual or complicated. I really enjoyed getting to share the sort of when Jesus says blessed are the poor, what is he saying? Because it's an interesting. All right. And actually, sorry, I said I was going to do that, but I do want a moment on. Now, remembering that in the Vulgate and in the Septuagint, you've got to be careful. Do not parazelo. You got to be careful with your Psalms in the Septuagint and the Vulgate because the numbers are different. And you are reading this as. Strong's is saying imperative second person singular is adjussive, just like the other one. Paradzelo. Do not provoke to jealousy, and then I think it was a second person singular present. Yeah, notice Septuagint 36:1 because the numbers are different. Psalm of David. No, maybe that was right. Yeah, Septuagint 36. So this is the right one. We're in the right place. Interesting. Do not, but it's a present. Paradzelu. Do not provoke to anger. Do not excite to rivalry or provoke to emulation or jealousy. Cool, but why is it in the Poneromenos? No associated strongest number for this form. Oh, this is a title. Do not Zelu. Anomian. Yeah, this is the problem with doing the Septuagint, is you end up just doing a lot of, like, oh, hi guys, I just don't have the translation here. Iniquity, transgression. Yeah, okay. Septuagint's hard. Someday I'm going to get my good Septuagint out and my document camera, and I will be able to look at it together, and it will be better. All right. Luke 6, 27 to 38. Not in the Psalms, but in the KJV. Let's do KJV just because it's what's going to send us to Strong's. All right. This is the one, the King James just has better, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Resources? Like the concordance and stuff are just better. But to you, I say, to you, the ones listening, I say, agapate, love spiritually, the ecthrus, the enemies, yours. And do good to those who hate you. Ecthrus. I think we looked at this last week. Yeah. A certain enemy, the hostile one, the devil, who is the most bitter enemy of the divine government. Echtho, to hate, passively. So, echthros is the adjective form of echtho. And we are, of course, going to take this to Wiktionary because sorry, Strong, but I don't trust you. I don't necessarily trust Wiktionary either, but I think it's worth checking. So echthros, likely from out, yeah. So exter is particularly close cognate. The hated, the hateful, the hating, the hostile enemy. Yeah. And it is masculine or feminine as substantive. That's this. The ones who hate you. Right? The enemies. Love your enemies. Yeah, sorry. Love the enemies of you. So that is an interesting, because it's not, there's a different way you could do it where it's your enemies. But this has the vibe of the enemies of you, that is to say, the people, like the root here is to hate. The haters of you. Love the haters. Love your haters. And do good to those who hate you. And this is the other hate word. He uses both here. Misusin. And this is, for those keeping track at home, this is the same root as misophonia. Misusin misewo. And this just is, from a primary misos, hatred. It just, and I'm not even going to bother with Wiktionary because it just does the thing. So, but I say to you listening, love the enemies of you. Love your haters. And do good to those who hate you. Do good for those who hate you. Do well, actually, really. Yeah. Do well by those. Yeah. Do well by those who hate you. All right. Eulogete. Speak well. Bless those kataromenos. Kataromai. That cat there has a strong that talk you down. Middle voice from Katara, intensive and Ara. An execration and imprecation, a curse. Ara here is probably both a prayer and a curse. Yeah. There is a reading that I would favor. Have you guys ever noticed that I just really enjoy the poetical and less stodgy? Like, I'm interested in the weird reading. I'm interested in the weird reading that speaks to the meaning in an intimate way. So, bless the cursors of you. And pray. Yeah, the cursors. Bless the ones talking you down, praying you down, and praying down, like those praying down of you. And pray over the eperazonton, those which despitefully use you. What are you doing? Strong's epirayozo. Probably a comparative of epi and probably area threats. Well, what does Wiktionary think about epirayozo? See also epirayozo. Etymology, yeah. To influence, to persuade, to try to get somebody to do something. Yeah, that's incomplete, and that's like, yeah. And it's not going to give me the Greek because I didn't write it in Greek. Spiteful abuse. Compare Aristotle rhetoric. Okay, to insult, to treat, yeah. Oh, so really, like, again, yeah, I am stuck today on the reading that says those of you who feel under attack by woke DEI libs, it's worth asking yourself if they actually hate you. And those of us who are woke DEI libs, it's worth asking if, like, certainly I feel despitefully used. I'll take despitefully used. Insulted is a weird one, because a lot of things that people say are not that insulting. Yeah, so despitefully used, like those who threaten you. Yeah. All right. To Tonti. Yeah. So the one striking you on the siagona, the cheek, offer to him the other one. And from the one Irontos, taking away your himation, your cloak. It's just, yeah. Which... and for the one taking of you, taking your cloak. Yeah, no. It's the Timothian of you. Yeah, genitive singular. The cloak of you. to the one taking away the cloak of you, also, hitona, your coat, do not koluses, don't forbid the chiton, which is a tunic. I'll take cloak and tunic, fine. Don't forbid. Don't. If someone's taking your coat, don't also say, "Oh, please, don't take my shirt." To everyone, to each one, aitunti, asking, give. Second person singular. Give you. Give to everyone asking of you. Give to everyone asking you. And of the one taking away your stuff. The one taking away the yous. Like, the substantive here is really weird. The you things. Do not apaite. Don't ask again. Yeah, don't ask for your stuff back. From whoever's taking it away from you. Again, can you imagine this world? Can you imagine this world? A world in which everybody who asked, you gave stuff to. And you never asked for it back. And you could ask anything of anybody, and they would give it to you, and not ask for it back. Like, it's such a mind-blowing, like, what? Because the one person who didn't follow this would end up with everything, like, would own all the stuff. But even as just a tiny principle, like, what if you gave to everyone more? And sometimes you're the one giving and sometimes you're the one asking. Like, let's be real about how humans work. So this is the quite well known golden rule. And as kathos thelete, as you would that they should do, and just as you would want, you would that men did to you, that human beings did to you, also you do that likewise to them. As ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. So I'm gonna challenge here, and I'm gonna say, everybody listening, all one of you, but everybody who hears this, everybody who encounters it, I'm really hoping to get some clips set up and actually do this. To everybody listening, ask yourself this question: are you doing as you wish others were doing to you? Are you doing to others as you wish others were doing to you? Like, stop and think about that. Are you doing to others as you wish they would do to you? And the answer doesn't have to be yes. And the answer doesn't have to be, no, I'll start right now. Just ask the question. Because I can't. Yeah. Like, if I'm wrong, if I am wrong, I would want someone else to say, hey, you're wrong, and here's why. But if I'm right, I would want other people to listen to me and say, well, why do you think I'm wrong? Like, I would want to have the discussion, like, reasonably and meaningfully. And there's a whole thing about the platinum rule, right? Like this next level thing of like, as other people ask to be treated, as other people want to be treated, treat them that way. Which is in many ways just easier. It's easier. The way that other people ask to be treated, treat them that way. And, you know, if that's true, there are limits on that you have to be sort of reasonable, but like, yeah, ask me how you want to be treated. This is my whole thing with pronouns. Like, you tell me how you want me to talk to you, and I will talk to you that way. That's just courtesy. That's just being polite. You tell me how you want me to treat you, and I'll do that. Talk to you. Like, treat you is a weird one. Like, I'm not gonna massage your feet because you ask. But like, I'm gonna call you by the name you tell me to call you, and I'm going to I'm gonna do these baseline things, these easy things. We are at the hour mark, and I promised those who logged on that we were going to do something a little different. So what's about to happen, I'm going to stop the stream. I'm going to take a break because I'm a human being. And then in about 15, I will be back. And I am going to read closely the executive order founding the Make America Healthy Again Commission in exactly the same way that we just did the scriptures. I'm going to read the text out loud once without interpretation and a second time with interpretation. I hope you'll stick around. Thanks for joining us today. Good vibes. God bless. We'll see you next time.